This is Audible.
Audible Studios presents House of Sky and Breath, written by Sarah J. Maas, performed by Elizabeth Evans.
The Four Houses of Midgard. As decreed in 33 VE by the Imperial Senate in the Eternal City. House of Earth and Blood. Shifters, humans, witches, ordinary animals, and many others to whom Chthona calls, as well as some chosen by Luna. House of Sky and Breath. Malakim, angels, Fae, elementals, sprites, and those who are blessed by Solas, along with some favored by Luna. Note: sprites were kicked out of their house as a result of their participation in the fall, and are now considered lowers, though many of them refuse to accept this. House of Many Waters. River spirits, mare, water beasts, nymphs, kelpies, nox, and others watched over by Ogenis. House of Flame and Shadow. Demonaki, reapers, wraiths, vampires, draki, dragons, necromancers, and many wicked and unnamed things that even Erd herself cannot see. Prologue. Sophie had survived in the Kavala death camp for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and still the guards, dreadwolves, all of them, had not sniffed her out. Everything had gone according to plan. The reek of the days crammed into the cattle car had covered the telltale scent in her blood. It had also veiled her when they'd marched her and the others between the brick buildings of the camp. This new hell that was only a small model of what the Asteri planned to do if the war continued. 2 weeks here, and that reek had become etched into her very skin, blinding even the wolves' keen noses. She'd stood mere feet from a guard in the breakfast line this morning, and he hadn't so much as sniffed in her direction. A small victory, one she'd gladly take these days. Half of the Ophian rebel bases had fallen. More would soon. But only 2 places existed for her now. Here, and the port of Servast, her destination tonight. Alone, even on foot, she could have easily made it. A rare benefit of being able to switch between human and Vanir identities, and of being a rare human who'd made the drop. It technically made her Vanir, granted her a long lifespan and all the benefits that came from it that her human family did not and would never have. She might not have bothered to make the drop had her parents not encouraged it. With the healing abilities she would gain, it provided extra armor in a world designed to kill her kind. So she'd done it under the radar, in a back alley, highly illegal drop center, where a leering satyr had been her anchor, and handing over her first light had been the cost of the ritual. She'd spent the years since then learning to wear her humanity like a cloak, inside and out. She might have all the traits of the Vanir, but she'd never be Vanir. Not in her heart, her soul. Yet tonight, Sophie did not mind letting a little of the monster loose. It would not be an easy journey, thanks to the dozen small forms crouched behind her in the mud before the barbed wire fence. 5 boys and 6 girls gathered by her 13-year-old brother, who now stood watch over them like a shepherd with his flock. Emil had gotten all of them out of the bunks, aided by a gentle human sun priest, who was currently serving as lookout at the shed 10 yards away. The children were gray-skinned, gaunt, eyes too big, too hopeless. Sophie didn't need to know their stories. They were likely the same as hers. Rebel human parents who'd either been caught or sold out. Hers had been the latter. Pure dumb luck had kept Sophie out of the Dreadwolves' clutches, too, at least until now. 3 years ago, she'd been studying late at the university library with her friends. Arriving home after midnight, she'd spied the broken windows and shattered front door, the spray paint on the siding of their ordinary suburban house, rebel shits, and begun running. She could only credit Erd for the fact that the Dreadwolf guard posted at the front door hadn't seen her.